The fact that this is the first video that comes up when I type Doctor Who into YouTube depresses me. Wait, it is? Pog! Apparently, people aren't allowed to have favorite eras without sifting through all of the hate first. Sort your algorithm out, YouTube. That's all you had to do. As you may know, I recently violated the fundamental right of a certain subset of 13th Doctor fans to not have to see opinions they disagree with by creating a 5-hour video essay that argues Doctor Who has recently seen a massive decline in quality. And for those of you that don't know, no, not a 5-hour podcast, not a 5-hour video where I talk over some gameplay footage, not a 5-hour stream. So, this is where I am now. A fully edited 5 hours of the best constructed and best faith criticism that I felt I was capable of. But isn't that a bit long? Cried out 1,000 simultaneous voices from all across social media. Yeah, but how did it end up that long? And just how mad did the internet get? You're gonna find out if you don't go away. Doctor Who being a series very close to my heart, I wanted to talk about why I consider this latest run to be a fundamental mishandling of the show. When new head writer Chris Chibnall took over 2 seasons ago, I went into his work really wanting to like it. I really did. I even posted a video to my second channel defending his decision to cast a woman in the lead role.
Wonder Woman, then Rey Solo.
No, not Solo, but carry on.
And now a Time Lady Doctor? What's next?
I guess I'd say that there will continue to be female characters in fiction.
That comment still baffles me to this day. Like, I understand what this person perceives to be the common link between the 13th Doctor and Rey, but once you add Wonder Woman, this is just a list of 3 women. Why did you type this? I was able to convince myself that I was having fun, I was enjoying myself, I was having a good time, everything was fine. Until the episode Resolution finally broke me 11 episodes in. I gather that this is actually one of the better regarded episodes in the season. I do not understand why for a second, but I'm not here to have that fight with you. Battle it out amongst yourselves, and once you're done, I will just agree with the survivors. After that episode though, I knew I wanted to make my video. Now, I'd covered some full seasons of television on my channel before, so I knew what I was getting myself into. Sure, I wanted to go a bit more in depth and take things a bit more seriously than previous projects, but I knew vaguely what I wanted to do. Back then, I also only had one series of the show that I wanted to cover. But then they went ahead and made another one. The bastards. So eventually I was left with 22 episodes at about an hour each to cover, or to put it another way, significantly more content than I'd ever covered in a single video before. Over the course of 2020, I figured out what I wanted to say and the order I wanted to say it in. And eventually I had a fairly comprehensive mental plan of all the topics I wanted to cover and how each one would segue into the next. Although, fun fact, I ended up cutting 2 of the 5 topics I want to cover. I'm guessing that if I'd left them in, I would have ended up with a video 7 hours long. Can you guess why I cut them? It's because the project was taking too fucking long. If you're wondering where the wine went between shots, I can assure you I have a drinking problem, and I drank it all. And it's not slowly soaking into my carpet. It eventually took until November 2020 until my mental plan actually started becoming tangible work. I gave myself nearly 2 months to make the thing, planning to release it on the 1st of January. It did not, in fact, come out on the 1st of January. It ended up taking 6 months. That's longer than I wanted to spend on it. Look at all of these channel community posts where I'm like, oh, it's not out yet. It's still not ready. That's me. That's my voice. That's what I sound like. The experience was definitely a mixed bag. I think the worst aspect of it all was the stress that probably comes inherently with working on something for 4 months longer than you wanted to. There are times I just genuinely felt like I would never finish this project. I felt trapped because I'd worked so much I couldn't just give up on it, but I also felt like I was just never going to be done. You know, like the feeling you get when it's been like 10 minutes and you're still wiping. A lot of the experience, though, was just very pleasant. I like making YouTube videos. It's something that I enjoy. And I also really do just get a kick out of talking about Doctor Who, be it parts of the show that I like or parts of the show that I don't. It's just an enjoyable topic for me. I'm a YouTuber. That is my job. I was going to be spending a lot of my time making YouTube videos no matter what. And for 6 months, I got to spend that time focusing on a topic that I can just fucking drone on about endlessly until none of the other commuters are willing to sit next to me anymore. Doctor Who has just made a very strong impression on my brain, as it has done to many other people as well.
They've created probably a greater impression than any other monsters either before or since on television programmes or in films, not only with their all-seeing revolving eye and their ray gun, but also with their extraordinary voices.
Stay where you are, you will be exterminated, exterminated.
Standards were lower in the past. It really helped in many ways during this project to think of it as several smaller projects that I could tackle more easily. And it wasn't hard to think of it that way because in many ways that is what it is. There are so many different topics to discuss within just 2 seasons of television. My 5-hour mega cock, sure, consists of several discussions of stuff like how the show handles individual topics, to discussions of individual characters within the show, to full-on reviews of individual episodes. But with all of these topics covered with a focus on what they contribute to the larger whole. I wanted to take the time out to form what could have been a load of shorter video essays into a complete picture, trying to segue naturally from one topic to the next, and trying to select topics to give the best overview of the series. I haven't actually talked about this series for longer than some people who did individual reviews of each episode as they came out, but I waited until the whole season was out to formulate my thoughts. And by waited, what I actually mean is didn't decide to cover it until like 11 episodes were out, and then procrastinated for a year. I'm not going to pretend that this isn't like the biggest project I've ever worked on, by the way, not just for YouTube, for my entire life. Although I started YouTube at 17, so what the fuck else is it competing with? School? What I am going to tell you is that I'm certainly not the only person in the world who spent 6 months making Doctor Who related content for YouTube. I'm just the only person who's put it all together as one big thing. Except for Mr. TARDIS. As this Twitter user puts it, people are saying that Jay's video is too long, but there was a lot to cover, so I don't see the problem. Or as this Twitter user puts it, there's plenty to talk about. But you just know it's going to be 300 minutes of Chibnall is bad. To which I replied, actually, here's how the time is filled, showing a picture of all of the timestamps of all the different sections of my video. And then they blocked me. This video got huge reactions from all different corners of the internet, making people squeal in all kinds of different ways, both good and bad. I've got hiccups. Twitter storms, Reddit threads, Facebook posts, and entire YouTube videos were made in response. There were some lovely positive words sent my way.
So if you don't know, my friend JXC, that big trans YouTuber that was in my Steven Universe video, recently made a 5-hour critique of the 2 newest seasons of Doctor Who. It got a lot of support, but on places like Twitter where opposing beliefs on innocuous things go to die, it's gotten quite a bit of shit.
Well, as said in my first video, they're not very good. This video, on the other hand, though, it gets a big old fucking gold star from me. I thought it was ace.
As somebody who is kind of a Chibnall apologist, but also somebody who does defend Series 11 and Series 12 to an extent, a lot of people are wondering what my thoughts on the video were. And you know what? Full disclosure, I found myself watching it, nodding along a hell of a lot of the time. But there are still a few things where I thought, you know what? I still like this series for the most part anyway.
And that was it. There were no more reactions. This video is over now. You can leave. Yeah.
Hey there, what's up? My name is Born and Ass Critical Guy. Today, I'm going to make a 5-hour video on why I, Born Ass Critical Guy, hates the current era of Doctor Who. Now, the reason why I think the current era is bad because Chris Chibnall is very bad. Number 2, Chris Chibnall is very bad. Did I forget to mention Chris Chibnall is very bad? Did I forget to mention Chris Chibnall is very bad? That fucking forgot.
Hello, my name is Come, and today I am going to do a straw man of people who disagree with me in a silly voice. Alright, it's time to get into some of the less positive reactions now, and just to be clear, I'm censoring the names of any account that isn't like a public figure with at least tens of thousands of followers. I'm also not going to be showing you every tweet that was sent and like every Reddit thread that was made and every Facebook comment that was written, because first of all, I definitely haven't seen them all, and secondly, you don't need to see every single one to get the point. I'm just going to show you enough so you get it. Let's start with one of the classics, the criticism that can best be summed up as long bad. This form of what I'm generously going to refer to as criticism comes with a 3-step program. Step 1, find the video and notice that it's quite long. Step 2, watch it. Just kidding, could you imagine? Step 2, make random negative assumptions about the video so that you can dismiss it without watching it. And step 3, confidently declare all of your assumptions publicly as if they were facts. One thing I'd like to make clear is that someone simply saying that they don't want to watch something that long is absolutely fine. Like this person saying that they were made to feel like they were the arsehole when all they said was that a 5-hour criticism video isn't something that they personally would make or watch. Yeah, that's an absolutely fine thing to say. That person should not be made to feel like they are the arsehole in this situation. What I take issue with is people making bad faith assumptions about the video. Like this Guardian journalist saying, imagine having the time and energy to make 5 hours of this unwatchable, negative shit. Why not pour your effort into being creative, making something you love, making something you want to make? Honestly, life is too short to be this angry about a TV show. Then when Benjamin Cook fucking hell goes on to ask him whether or not he's watched it, he says, why would I? Someone shitting on someone else's creativity for hate clicks for 5 fucking hours? Lol. Even if we make the assumption in good faith that when he calls the video unwatchable shit, he just means that the video is something he personally would find unwatchable despite the fact he didn't attempt to watch it, there are still a load of poor faith assumptions made here. When he says, why not pour your effort into being creative, he assumes that no creativity goes into the presentation, style, delivery, or criticism. When he says, why not pour your effort into making something you love or making something you want to make, he assumes I didn't love or want to make this project, which just isn't true. When he says life is too short to be this angry about a TV show, he assumes that my video is just anger fueled. And when he describes me as just shitting on someone else's creativity for hate clicks, he's prescribed to me one of the worst possible motivations I could have had for taking on the project. Thanks, man! It's stuff like this that I take issue with. That first guy who, according to him, had only said that he didn't want to watch it is... All I said was that a 5-hour criticism video isn't something that I would make or watch. Why are people acting like I'm being the arsehole? It's a mystery to me. I just don't understand. And of course, there's still a lot more long bad to come. Having criticism for something is absolutely fine. We're allowed to have opinions on media, but 5 hours shows it's not going to be criticism, it's going to be a rant. Why? There's loads of high-quality analysis out there, but the 5-hour YouTube types produce low-quality content no matter what.
This is Star Wars fans' level of hate content. He-Man, and that has been absolutely caustic to the quality of the franchise.
I literally do not care for this drama, but I do want to know, what the fuck do you have to talk about for 5 hours about the Chibnall era? Is the Chibnall era even 5 hours long? Who knows? Okay, let's do this one together. There are 22 episodes at about an hour each. One person I think also did the whole assumptions thing is the YouTuber David J. Bradley, a creator whose videos about asexuality I personally have found both interesting and entertaining. I have to say, I think he did that though, because I don't actually remember what he first wrote in his tweets, because when I first saw them and was like, man, this sucks, he reacted by going, you know what, actually, yeah, my bad. And he apologized and deleted the tweets. He is the only person who's done this. Resulted in people getting mad at him? Fucking cowards everywhere. Maybe some people do in fact deserve to get told to their faces that they suck. No frills. Especially ratty ass YouTubers whose only personality trait on display is thing bad. Just to be clear, the thing that this person is mad about is a YouTuber deciding that actually it's bad to put down people's work if you've not watched it. Okay, but making a 5-hour 5-hour video just to shit on Doctor Who? I mean, above anything else, that's just really sad. Of all the people who got mad and upset, of course a proportion of them went after me as a person, declaring that I must be some kind of sad, miserable, shut-in loser if I'm going to dedicate 6 months of my life to something like this. You know, because everyone else in the world had loads going on from November 2020 to May 2021 and spent the whole time going outside. I would argue that I was doing both my job and something that I personally find interesting, and that people who have a problem with that are gatekeeping both what it means to work for a living and the ways that people just engage with their own personal interests. And I think that brings us nicely into some of the just generally bad arguments made against my video. You know, just general poor faith argumentation or what are you talking about kind of stuff. Stuff like saying I want to make Doctor Who fascist. We'll get to this one. Let's start with some of the easy stuff. I knew it was going to be a bad take from some dick who hates the Doctor being a woman. I just knew it. Of course the 5-hour video is an I'm not a misogynist but bad take. This person has only seen the title and the thumbnail. Just for full transparency, right now I'm going to play the only clip from the entire 5-hour video where I mention anything about the fact that the Doctor used to be a man but is now a woman. Here we go. The 13th Doctor, played by Jodie Whittaker. Her casting was first announced in a short promotional clip which broadcast on BBC One at the end of some fucking tennis or something. It was about a minute of Jodie walking through the woods before eventually she arrives at a wall. The key to the TARDIS symbolically appears in her hand. She takes down her hood, revealing her face, and then dramatically walks towards the second Google Images result for TARDIS PNG. The first result is listed as the 13th Doctor's TARDIS, so wouldn't have been there when they made this. Hang on a second, that's a woman. Anyway, following the it's a joke about how I don't care. Let me ask you something, person who left this tweet. Are you Scientologist film star Tom Cruise? Because I think you might be acting with bad faith. Thank you, I'm very funny. Then we've got stuff like, it's him again. I mean, it's almost like Doctor Who is a fantasy show littered with the lead character having random superpowers whenever the plot demands it. But how can you make 5-hour YouTube videos getting angry about it if you just relax and accept that? Martin, the video is about characterization, plot, and the ideas put forward by the show. But how could you keep salt tweeting if you just relaxed and watched the video, or just accepted that you don't know anything about it because you haven't seen it? Either of those two options would be absolutely fine.
Imagine writing, filming, editing a 5-hour video essay on how the Lady Doctor caused the fall of Doctor Who. Honey, the 7th Doctor's run was bad enough to get the show taken off the air. Calm down.
Okay, so if we just for a second pretend that it wasn't in fact a multitude of factors that got the show taken off the air in 1989 during the 7th Doctor's run, I mean, never mind the fact that when Michael Grade talks about why he cancelled the show, he shites. He cites its low production values, something that the show had had since the beginning, and not something that's unique to the 7th Doctor's run.
I cancelled the show. I thought it was pathetic. I mean, I'd seen Star Wars, and then I had to watch these cardboard things, probably clonking across the floor, trying to scare kids, you know, you just sit and laugh at it.
Even if we ignore all that, the show actually hasn't survived Chris Chibnall yet. It could get cancelled before he leaves, you don't know. But for real now, come on. You can't just sit there pretending like the fact it got cancelled means it must have been worse. You can think it was worse, and that's your prerogative, but when someone doesn't think it's worse, you can't just accuse them of being mad because of the Lady Doctor. That video is just full of misinformation and hate. Okay, so this person does describe what I consider to just be normal criticism as full of hate, which doesn't fill me with confidence. It's not like I go around insulting the cast and crew or anything. It's just normal criticism, but they also cite misinformation, which means this could be criticism being made in good faith. Like if they've actually found a significant amount of misinformation in my video, they may have a very good reason to have arrived at this conclusion. And misinformation is definitely not something I want in my work, so when I first saw this tweet, I replied with, if you found misinformation in my work, please let me know. I'll post a correction in a pinned comment immediately. And then they blocked me. I genuinely think there's a level of absolute arrogance behind the idea that your opinion on a subject as trivial as Doctor Who is so important that you need to make a 5-hour YouTube video about how rubbish the show is. I'm not going around insisting that people watch the fucking thing. I made it because I wanted to. And people did want to see it. And also, it's my job. So there was this post I just happened to come across in this Doctor Who Facebook group calling me a virgin. Sure, there's no substantiated claims to actually talk about here. This is just a post that's kind of like, nah. Oh, look, another quote-unquote critical bad media analysis video that we haven't seen for the nth time in 10 years. Boring. There's room for critique. I just think it's a bit far to make a 5-hour rant about not having something your way because it wasn't what you were expecting. I don't think it's really fair to characterize my criticism as just me complaining because I didn't get what I wanted. I don't simply complain that the show is going in a direction that I don't like. I talk about how the episodes, stories, characters, and themes are constructed. I go over things like how well the characterization is integrated into the story. I don't think it's fair to point at criticism like this and characterize the person making it as simply mad that they didn't get what they were expecting. Especially when you literally haven't watched the video because it's not fucking out yet. All of these tweets were sent back when all this guy could see of my video was the title, the thumbnail, the description, and the fact that it was going to premiere in a few hours. He's confidently declaring what the content of this video is when no one has seen it. He put the word critical in quotes. You've not seen it. You have no idea what's in it. You're ranting for 5 hours because you've not had things your way. No, you've just become so enraged by the sight of a YouTube title you disagree with that you've decided to make shit up. You know what, let's just play that one clip from the end of the actual video. Honestly, I can't believe that I've done all of this work just for random people on Twitter to screenshot the thumbnail and probably like the time code as well, and then assume what's in it and make arguments against that simply because they disagree with the premise. I'm really looking forward to people doing that. I knew this shit would happen, but goddamn, I was not expecting it before the premiere. Responding to this clip, a Twitter user says, like, there's that clip of Jay saying something about how reactionary the title is and that people would react negatively to it. So, like, why make it that? I never said the title was reactionary. Am I gay? But to answer your question, it's a mostly negative video and it has a negative title. I mean, yeah, I do want to choose a title that people will click, but I also want to make sure that it's a title that's honest. And I'm pretty sure it would have gotten reactions from people like this, at least on some level, if I gave it any kind of honest title. It's a very long, negative video. I think those are the things that people are going to focus on. I have a lot of different priorities that go into choosing my video titles, and making sure that random people on Twitter don't get mad simply isn't one of them. Because at the end of the day, that's gonna happen anyway, isn't it? When choosing a title, I look for something sharp and punchy that also effectively communicates what I'm talking about in the video, because I do want to find something that will encourage people to actually click it, but I don't want to be dishonest about what the content actually is. And in this video, I'm arguing that Doctor Who has taken a recent nosedive in quality. It could have been called something like The Recent Decline of Doctor Who, but that wouldn't have fitted as nicely in a fancy little title card. There are loads of different title ideas I played around with in my head, but ultimately, I think even if I called it something like A Critique of the Chibnall Era, I would still have got plenty of angry reactions on Twitter like this, and preventing them really isn't a priority for me. I just go for it, Twitter. Alright, we've held that long enough. Let's do the fascism one. The fascism comments were part of an article that was trying to argue against my video. I'm not going to debunk every single argument it makes. Let's for now focus on the Indian man and Nazis argument. And I think the best way to start going about this is to just play a clip from the section of the video it's about, in which I'm talking about an episode where a dark-skinned man infiltrates the ranks of the Nazis. Just watch the clip. Now, you may be wondering, if he's not white, how has he infiltrated the ranks of the villains of World War II? I don't think they would have liked him. Well, the thing that they actually decided to write into the script was that he was using a piece of alien technology to appear white. This technology is called a perception filter. The Doctor convinces the villains of World War II that the Master is actually a double agent working for the British. By doing this, she has already defeated him and can go and steal his TARDIS in peace. When she tells him that she's done this, some World War II villain soldiers are already on their way to arrest him. Except then, just before the soldiers arrive, and I can't stress this enough, for no reason, she disables his perception filter so that they know what race he really is.
Facial perception filter. Very easy to jam.
And then she says to him, now they'll see the real you. Chris, why did you write this? The article responds, while the Nazis weren't always consistent with their race ideals, they weren't simply white supremacists either. One formation within the Waffen-SS was the Indian Legion, consisting of mostly Indian servicemen who had been taken as prisoners of war. There had been some outrage over this episode. It would appear that Chris Chibnall overestimated the audience's education here. Shut the fuck up. This article here is clearly stating that the outrage around this episode was misplaced and born from ignorance. Some people think it's bad that the Doctor used a villain's skin color against him to make sure that he gets a harsher punishment than he would do otherwise, but those people are wrong, because due to the existence of the Indian Legion, it's absolutely fine that the Doctor revealed the Master's skin color to the Nazis, because they wouldn't possibly treat him worse due to his dark skin. Yeah, I just didn't know about the Indian Legion, and the fact that they existed means that everything is fine. Hang on. So, the Doctor reveals the Master's race to the Nazis after she's already beaten him, which really begs the question, why? Why does she do that? Clearly she thinks it's going to have some kind of effect on how harshly he'll be punished, or she wouldn't have done it before saying, now they'll see the real you. If she doesn't think it's going to get him a harsher punishment, she may as well have revealed any other random piece of information, like, as you're arresting this man, I think you should know he has a beard. There are two options here. Either it's the scene of the Doctor weaponizing someone's skin color against them so they get punished more harshly by the Nazis, or it's just a scene of completely random things happening for no actual reason that just so happen to look a lot like the Doctor weaponizing someone's dark skin against them. And also, it's pretty clear which one the episode thinks it is.
Oh, the company you keep. How have you managed that? You're not exactly their Aryan archetype.
Perception filter. As people see what they want to see.
I wonder what the episode is implying will happen if that perception filter gets turned off. After this, the article then concludes with, to me, it seems the material in this video has been compiled by someone who hasn't had very much experience with Doctor Who and who doesn't understand what makes the show work. Let me stop you there, that's already incredibly bad faith. Or, you know, just a lie. My video literally opens talking about all of the experience I've had with Doctor Who, showing actual pictures and footage of me as a child going to Doctor Who exhibitions and cosplaying the Fourth Doctor with a Dalek. And then throughout my video I reference all these different eras of Doctor Who as examples of the thing being done well as opposed to the thing being done badly. To say that you don't think I have much experience with Doctor Who, you either weren't paying attention as you watched most of the video, which to be honest wouldn't surprise me, or you're just doing a fucking lie to try and make my perspective seem less credible because you're mad I disagree with you about a TV show. The conclusion then continues, it also seems that there is some inspiration from the extreme right-wing influences, like the misguided Indian man and Nazis point, and the misogyny that is implied by singling out the series that have had a female actor playing the Doctor. Man, just like, fuck you. Okay, so we've already been over the article's Indian man and Nazis point, but didn't it say that people were wrong about that due to a lack of education? Let's just pretend you were right about that for a second, and that the fact the Indian Legion existed means that everything in that episode is fine now. How would it be far right to argue that it's bad the Doctor was weaponizing someone's dark skin against them because you lacked the historical context to know that wasn't actually what was happening? I think most anti-racist people with that interpretation of the scene would think it was bad. Or are you saying that it was far right of me to have interpreted the scene in that way to begin with? Was it far right of me to assume that the Nazis were racist? And holy shit, the implied misogyny of singling out a series with a woman as the Doctor. So yeah, this is a series that brought in a woman to play the Doctor, but it's also the series that brought in an entirely new creative team with a radically different approach to making the show. An approach which, you know, is the thing I spend my entire video talking about, rather than the fact that the Doctor is a woman now, because I don't care about the fact the Doctor is a woman now. But the fact she is a woman now is something you've used as an excuse to just imagine some misogyny so that you can call my video far right. The article then closes out by saying, the show can manage without the quote-unquote criticism in this video. If, on the other hand, the ideas in the video are allowed to infect the writing in the future, Doctor Who will be impossible to produce. At best, the video wants Doctor Who to be more like those shows that fizzle out after no more than 4 or 5 years. At worst, the video strives to make the show more fascist, and that would be a shame. Yeah, so this article was bad, but that takes us to the end of the storm that happened. So that was why I made a 5-hour video and how the internet reacted when it arrived there. Yeah, it was fun. I would encourage you, by the way, to check out Blair TV and another YouTuber whose name I feel very bad because I've forgotten. George is Lost. It's George is Lost. I'm sorry, George. Who did videos also talking about the reaction that my video got, and you should go and check both of those out. They've been linked in the description. I also, if you want, recommend that you check out the stream I did with Mr. TARDIS, which I also used clips from in this video. I also did a stream with fairies, if you want to go and watch that. There's loads of stuff. I'll link it all in the description. My camera's nearly out of battery.